Welcome to another episode of Kickin' It Old School on the Crush This podcast group. I'm here with Josh Rhodes and Jason Rono from J Concepts. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good, Dan. How about yourself?
Doing well. How are you?
All doing pretty good, guys. Seems like you guys had a pretty good RC weekend with you guys. And right now, how was that weekend for you guys?
Pretty good. Got a couple of wins out of it. For the first time, I'm leading sport modified points, which I don't know how the heck that happened, but hey, cool. I'll take it.
Sound like Mike Wine talking.
Nope, not me. Me and my daughter were sitting here watching Shark Week.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Well, anyway,
We
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just gonna say, yeah, we definitely got to introduce the other two great members here on the show because we got Josh tearing it up in sport mod, but we got the real deal on the line too, right?
Yeah, we got the 10 scale, and then we got the 1-1s over there in the corner.
Yeah, we got two people that I could call good friends of mine, and they one drove a truck called the Nightlife in Nebraska, and right now he is doing some extracurricular activities in the monster truck world for a while.
Right. Yep.
Well, we'll get to that. And also one of the best shooters in the monster truck world, driving Nick Rossi's Jersey Outlaw. He's our regular commentator, Mr. Mike Wine.
Yes,
Yeah.
very shy, very bashful.
Yeah, right.
Very unlike any of those things.
That's how everybody knows me.
Mike, I just watched the video on YouTube you did with the Wild Man, and that was fun.
Oh my God! See, I've never seen it yet. I've not even seen it yet. Jeff Secretary sent me a message on Facebook. I thought that was weird, but sent me a message and said, hey, I'm just messaging you for Jeff that it's all done and it's up on YouTube now. 2 or 3 people has said, have you watched it yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't had a chance because, God, I work 14, 15, 16-hour days. So then when I get home on the weekend, I'm trying to catch up around the house and just forget. So yeah. I've heard commentary from people, and everybody says it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to do it in maybe 2 or 3 parts. I think it looks like. So there was just the first part, but that was really entertaining. Talking about your experience and driving the truck for the first time, and talking to.
When did you get experience?
Getting to use Kramer's helmets, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Forgot to put my seatbelt on. Hit the steering wheel. Had a perfect bruise all the way around my chest. Yep. They left a lot out. And now with Jim Kramer, David, with Jim Kramer, you don't know if that was on purpose or not.
Yeah, buddy. That's right. Not that there was any practical jokes going on back in those days.
No, well, not me. Remember, I'm the innocent one. Don't you remember?
No, I mean, none at all. No, I wasn't pointing the finger at you, Mike. Probably all of them.
Yeah.
Every single time, Mike. I'm learning about monster trucks. This is the first time touching a monster truck. Mike Wine.
That's right. I'm always new. Ask Tracy Smart. He'll tell you. Every time he interviews me, he goes, I know. You're the innocent one. Dave, I would love to get you to the Hall of Fame. You would just love it. The videos, the stuff that is in there, the pictures, everything, Dave.
Actually,
you would just love it.
I'm going to try and make it out there. I'm going to try and make that this year here.
Are you really?
Yep, I really am. Yep.
Oh,
I've been trying for a lot of years, I guess, and always had a place to be. But yep, this year I think we're just gonna go and do it.
That's
Now, are you
awesome.
going to drive out, fly out, or what?
No, you're going to come pick me up.
I don't care. Wouldn't heartbeat. You ought to know that by now. In a rental car, Dave.
Right, that's right. It'd have to be a rental.
Wait, Dennis doesn't drive a rental car, is he?
Oh, jeez.
Dave rode with me in Wisconsin in a rental car.
Oh, no. Already
Oh, yeah.
started off
I've been
with
in
rental
the
car
rental car a
stories.
couple times.
I was going to say, Dennis isn't driving the rental car, is he?
Who?
No. Just us. Me and Dave had to go to Wisconsin. We had to get some parts for you and somebody
Yeah, that was
else,
one trip,
Dave.
Yeah, we went to ProFab. That's where we went.
Yes.
Went to check out the new drop boxes that he was making and some gears. Yep. That's where we went. And somehow we lost the back window out of a car. I don't know how that happened, but
Well, this rental cars, they're just so cheap.
I know it. Yeah, cheap glass, everything. I can't believe it. It's just
And also the tires didn't hold up.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, cheap tires.
Well, I'm thinking, they must have different types of rubber back then.
Yeah.
The good stuff you could tell when you had it because it really smelled really good.
Oh, yeah. Because you remember when Nick Rossi got a brand new. Remember Chevrolet came out, Cheech, with a 454 Chevrolet, the sport version.
Yeah.
Them tires didn't hold up at all. We got locked into a building one time. That's not right to do to us.
Did you guys ever do the trick where you use like Burger King, the serving trays and put them behind the rear tires of like a minivan, where you can lock the brake
and hold the brakes and skid it like a skidder?
Yeah. Yeah. So
you didn't do that, Mike? I thought that was a great idea, Mike.
I can't remember because we always used the big metal trays that I would squirt, a little bit of oil or anything else on to slide my tires on.
The aluminum was good because it really sparked when it got hot.
Oh, God, yeah, we could always get a stop sign. We could always get a sign easy. And remember old Bennett Clark, Clydesdale, bless his heart, he would always have his 4 little pipes. He'd lay 2 straight and he'd put 2 on across. Yeah. And then tires would wobble and he'd try to roll them on by himself. And 98 pounds. What would he say, Dave? God, what was that? 98 pounds soaking wet or something? Or
I'm fixing to get it today.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Go ahead, Cheech. I'm sorry. We're just taking over, leaving you out.
Yep, sorry.
Ow! I'm totally okay. I'm totally okay. I actually have one question for actually from Chris Parrish for you guys. You guys are on. He said TNT is held as such a high esteem. If it had survived, how do they think it might have changed the direction of the sport, or would it have? So the question was, TNT was such a big deal back in the day. If it survived, if it didn't get bought out by United States Hot Rod, do you think the sport will continue to be the same, or would have been the same direction as it is now?
You said USA or TNT?
TNT.
TNT.
TNT?
Yeah. If it wasn't sold out.
I think it would have survived. I mean, they had... Yeah. I'm sure it would have survived because, right at that time, they were the leaders of the monster truck industry. Nobody else had anything like them. They had the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge and the Pulling Series. Nobody had anything like they had, and they had the minds behind it to take it forward. I don't think it would have quit at all. It would have gained momentum. I'm not sure where it would have been today, but but you can only guess on that one.
How about you, Mike?
Most definitely. Well, most definitely. I would have loved to see it keep going ahead in direction. Technology was going further for racing. and everything. It was going away from the solid metal bodies, you know, to 14, 15,000 pounds, where you take a bolt and just weld to the body. I mean, weld to the chassis to have a shock and have them fly off everywhere. Weld them back on that evening just so they look cool. But no, the racing and all like that. The racing, even, I mean, what they do now, it's phenomenal. It's great. But even look what they've had to do now to race, to do the freestyle, to do the front wheelies, to stand up on the back. They've had to modify the new kids in training. We didn't have that back then. We didn't have it where, hey, you guys want to go jogging and get healthy before we jump in a monster truck? No, we didn't. We never had that.
It's like, man, I've been up all night long. I don't have time to jog.
Yeah, that was our exercise, staying up all night long. And if we weren't working on our own truck, well, like me, I was a transmission jack for, grave digger all the time, or we were we just didn't work on porters. I don't know when he did. He must have elves come in at night and fix his stuff.
We were core low on training fluid. We run your socks out and put it in.
Yes, but I would have loved to seen it go and survive. It would have been a totally different setup. We would have done our chassis for racing, and they would have done the chassis for freestyle, for survival that way, for taking the upside down hits and making them, hold up that way and stuff like that to make it safety for the drivers. But no, I really believe the old days of racing, triple sets of cars in Wisconsin, outdoors, full bore, as fast as you can go. People still want to see that. I still hear people 30 years later wish they would see that versus the J hook, or going indoors where you can't get out and fly. And I mean, don't get me wrong.
You don't see a lot of trucks together. You see, 6 and 8, but not very often do you see, 12, like we used to have all the time, or 8 minimum, racing. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people that I talked to through the years, and even today, that would like to see racing. That's for sure.
Yes, and I mean, we remember, Dave, going to truck stops on the way. We did our own advertisement for ourselves. I would go to truck stops and take my truck out and run it through. Now it's called Streak and Beacon, but I would go to mom and pop truck stops in Wildwood in Florida, and get my truck washed and semi-truck washed and all like that. And I mean, trade T-shirts out for work, getting body work done and painting, and we did our own advertisements. That was great.
A lot of those guys have you load your tires and wash them for you.
Oh yes, and we'd even, I don't know how many times. Well, Dave, me and you, and the family and the girls. Oh my God, I can't believe they grew up. We went to Gilly's Bar. We stayed there in the park a lot.
Oh yeah.
For
right.
I don't know how long. So awesome, great times and memories on the track and off the track that you'll never see again. I mean, I made friends on the road 30 years ago that I still know I can go to any state there is and be able to contact somebody if I had a problem, and somebody would come help me.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I really believe that. Really believe that.
Now, do you think you guys would accelerate your racing monster truck program? Would you guys committed to the new technology that Bigfoot, Equalizer, Taurus, even Gravedigger and Carolina Crusher were entering in the '91 season? Do you guys think if the TNT series would have kept on going, that everyone's envelope would have got pushed?
Oh yes, I'd say, wouldn't you, Dave? Because if you didn't, you were out of the competition.
Yeah, you would have to adapt for sure, just like any racing sport. Whether you're RCs or whatever, you have to adapt. If you don't, you're going to be put behind, and pretty soon you're not competitive. For sure. Yeah.
It's interesting you bring up that word adapt. How do you think TNT would have adapted had they not sold out, still having to compete with UHHRA?
You know, I think USHRA was competing with TNT.
Yes.
That's the way I feel back then. It was maybe not at first. USHRA, you know, they had drag racing and other things too, but in the monster truck part of it, you know, I would say USHRA was competing against TNT. They were by far the leaders in the sport. So everybody would have had to, you know, pick up momentum, just like today. It's, you know, like the shows you watch today. I mean, everybody's, you know, building different, you know, style tracks to get more air, and because the trucks can do more. So everybody, you see it in the whole, the whole industry. Everybody's doing more because the trucks can do more. So, and you know, you see the ones that can, and they're not going to be there.
I was a little curious in those days. What were the pricing like to build a leaf spring truck like you guys were driving, and then like getting into like a Bigfoot Equalizer, Carolina Crusher? Was that a big stopping point for people on the price side of things, or is it reasonable to build something like that?
You know, I think had we had the shocks available, I mean, the shocks is really the big thing there, and the 4-link obviously, but I mean, you still had, I mean, motors are still the same motors, you know, basically run back then. Transmissions have changed, so you have you know, a different cost for, you know, the 2 speeds, and you did the 400. But there's still guys that run the 400s. Everybody was pretty much changing over to the Profabs or SCS boxes at that time. They were getting rid of the 5-ton military or whatever they had. So, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I think everybody was concerned about, you know, how fast they were going to be going. So,
Yes, most definitely. Our biggest thing was we weren't out there to get the biggest air, because with us, the quicker you got the tires on the ground, that's why we changed our suspension. And guys will go into the coilovers to absorb the bounce and hit over the first set of cars, because the less you had to turn the steering wheel, the more you could stay on the throttle and not let out of it. The quicker the tires were on the ground, the more speed you had. I mean, it was just, look at Bigfoot when he first came out.
Yep.
Look at Equalizer. All junkyard parts in the backyard. But his tires never left the ground.
Right.
That's what made him so fast. And he had a smaller motor than all of us.
I mean, with the times are changing also, Dave, was your driving style going to be different? Because we know you're the popular one sticking your arm out of the window and everything. I think this would be the same thing with Kramer. When these new trucks came out, I guess you had to adapt your driving style also.
Oh yeah, and that, I mean, you could probably see that more so in the last truck I had in my Life 3 that I was driving more inside. You just, you know, you had to be strapped in tight, and your seats didn't allow it for you to lean out. So definitely had to start adapting there to driving inside the truck.
I remember your door being buckled in from you squeezing it, and also I remember you having bruises before, Dave.
Oh yeah, yep. Used to bruise my rib cages a lot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
And who was it?
Yep.
Who was it that had their head out the window? Might have been Jim Kramer, and he bounced forward, and we didn't have the shields on our helmets, and some of us had not the full face helmets, and went forward and hit that chrome with a wing window open. I'm trying to think if that was Jim.
Yeah,
he was one of the Bigfoot drivers.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, might probably
and he hit his face and nose.
Yeah.
That could have been Jim. I don't know. I think everyone else was racing.
Yeah, there's been a few broken noses.
Yeah, I think every other Bigfoot driver was wearing like the BMX or the motocross helmets with the triangle face shield on.
Yeah, Rich Hooser and stuff was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jim was one of the only ones that was driving with the face open.
It had to be him then. But Dave, didn't you hit your face before?
I hit my forehead. Never broke my nose, so I got pretty lucky. Yeah.
Man, I was bad on breaking fingers.
In Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
I ended up breaking.
Speaking of which, a question for both of you. With today's technology, with the steering orbital valve, you guys ran a different type of steering orbital valve? Was it? I know the saying goes, "Don't put your hands in the middle of the steering wheel because it can really hurt you." Was it a lot of times it was basically Jesus take the wheel on a monster truck race because the steering wheel would control itself outside of you guys?
No, not really. I mean, it was just I don't know if it would take control, but you just had, you had to release it because you got a kickback.
Yep.
That's where the kickback valves came in. So it would eliminate that problem. But yeah, there's several guys that broke their wrists. Slapping down on one front wheel. Steve Kane, he broke his wrist doing that. I think Jeff Dane broke his. Yep. But yeah, you always, I don't know. You learn.
Rob Fuchs, I think he broke a couple fingers. He was the same way, remember? He'd go up in the air and he'd hold on to that wing window post.
Oh, yeah.
And come back down. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yes. And, God, who else broke their fingers? Somebody else. They let go of the wheel. Oh, Jesse Berge. Jesse, playing for keeps. And that man, it was the biggest, gentlest giant. He came out of the truck and knuckles jammed, and he would grab his hands and just pop them back in place. Oh, my God. That would always gross us out. He was just a big old gentle giant.
Yep.
Well, I remember, Dave, I broke my fingers in the New York tour, and Bennett Clark drove for me.
I remember yours several times. Yep.
Yeah, and then I ended up wide loading. The whole New York tour, I never once took the tires off the Outlaw.
Yeah, imagine doing
that, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I remember a couple towboats getting relocated.
Yep. It was called modifications.
Right. Yeah.
Modifications.
I didn't know if you knew that, Chief.
You got a date from that one gal.
Yep.
Now,
we went to the boat races.
Was this with the black and gray, or was it with the white truck, Mike?
White truck.
White one.
Yep. White truck. Yep. Never had pop-off valve. Never had none of that. Had the chrome steering wheels with the multiple holes in it. Foolish.
Right.
And you'd let go and go to grab it, and bam, snap. Yep.
Oh.
That's crazy.
So for you guys driving in those days, besides yourselves or each other, who did you guys look forward to watching, and who did you guys like as a driver watching and their equipment? What was in that 88 to 90 span, I guess?
I would have to say probably the one to watch was Rod Litzow, because he was just wide open. He would run that truck for all he could get out of it, and we knew what we tore up on our trucks, and he had way lighter stuff than what we had on our trucks, and so it was I don't know if we were watching it for the destruction standpoint or just the awesome as far as how fast he was going and how far he was going. I would have to say Rod Litzow for me.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely Rod for being the fastest, fearless, and having money behind him. There's the difference. We broke our stuff. We had to scrape up money to fix it, do whatever, rob parts off of a car that we just crushed, and I did that many a times. And he did it. He made a phone call. Of course, you get yelled at a little bit, but at the next show, there's a crate of parts sitting there.
Yeah.
There's a flatbed sitting there with another front end, a body. Everything was built at the shop and brung to him.
Yep. Or they went back to the shop.
Yes.
Got it fixed and come back that next weekend. I mean, yeah.
Yep. Him and Steve would drive all night long.
That makes a difference too. Yeah. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, like me, I was on my own.
We did the
and
best
so
we
were you.
could with what we had. Yep.
Do you think
There's more
after
about
that
being
88?
consistent
Do you think after that
dominating.
88 season that they kind of maybe underachieved a little bit for how the truck was fast in the 88 series, and then when you got into the 89 and 90, do you think they kind of underachieved a little bit with all the crashing and just, or do you think that was just the direction of trying to drive it so fast?
Driving it harder. Everybody else was catching up.
Yeah.
Everybody else was lightening their stuff up and catching up. So, it might not have appeared that he was running faster or harder. But everybody else was running faster. So
getting even.
Yeah.
Everything was more even.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
How do you guys think how good of USA 1 would have been if ever actually committed and used wider housings?
It wasn't the housings that were giving him problems.
Oh, okay.
It was the frame. He ran a stock Chevrolet frame that was boxed in with a little bit of tubing, but stock frames that were buckling. Stock cab mounts, everything to keep it light. And center pins. Oh my God, he would shear a center pin off, and the U-bolts. That's what kept making the front rear end roll up underneath. Had nothing to do with the width of the housing. It was at that point made it so light, made it also flimsy.
Yeah. Well, he did shear his spindles off. But that still happens today, I guess. But the technology that they have in the spindle housings now are different than we had back then.
We ran stock. They run custom built now.
Reinforcing flanges. Yep. But I mean, for him, I mean, his stuff was holding up. I mean, really good. I mean, shoot, I can remember back in the, the early mid '80s, breaking, spindles off, just from hitting the car and just doing a car crush, not even racing. So, I mean, Everett had taken that, that technology and improved it quite a bit to do what he did with it, for sure.
What does that truck weigh? About 11,000 pounds or something?
I was right at 10. We had to weigh 10.
I was going to say, we had to weigh 10.
Yeah.
So you think
so it was
USA won?
Right in that, right in there.
Yeah, because I remember when Gary Cook brung his truck out, he had to add weight in the very first time. He went out. He took tractor weight and put on it to get the weight. It was so light.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that because we're all out in the parking lot like, what in the world's he doing with tractor weights? He said, it's just stuff I got laying around from my pulling trucks in the barn.
Yeah.
So I don't think other than that anybody else had a problem with weight. Everybody was always over that.
Taurus was pretty light. He had to weight up.
Well, the new one,
I mean, but I don't. Everybody else was right in that 10 to 11.
Yep. Porter's new truck. Yes, Dennis's always were heavy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
When do you think Dennis kind of came into his own? I mean, he was really known for the quick runs and qualifying and the cool looking truck, but it seemed like it took quite a while for him to really kind of come into his own and get the equipment to last, huh?
No,
he ran his stuff hard.
Dennis was his own person. Well, me, but I've known him for so long from mudbogging. He was the same way. If he broke apart, he'd go out there and say, "Boys, we need to sell T-shirts because we got to, buy some parts for the mud truck." And he'd get out there and run the fire out of it. Everybody else would go easy into the water. He'd start running around the edge. If it flopped over, hey, that was fine. Everybody liked it. Same way when he come into the trucks. God, Dave, how many times have you heard him say, "Boys, get your cameras out. I'm selling T-shirts because I need money to get to the next show.
Yeah,
And
if you had to
run the
combine the
fire out
word
of it.
showman, I think if you had to combine the word showman and racer together, that would be Dennis.
Yes.
He would definitely put on a show and race, for sure.
Yes.
Yep, for sure.
So now,
Yep.
I wanted to know a little bit about Gary's Carolina Crusher number 2, because it seemed like that truck never broke. Maybe in the televised shows, it seemed like the truck never broke. What do you guys think? Why that truck was so durable compared to everyone else's? A lot of people say like his drive shaft division was not as steep compared to like Dennis's Gravedigger 2, where it was almost pointed at a V and he would break a drive shaft, but Gary's was more leveled than his truck. Why do you guys think that his truck was so durable?
Well, I think it.
Well,
I think it was he had the just the correct amount of horsepower to what he had.
yes. Yep.
He
Then the
didn't. He
long
wasn't trying to drop
wheelbase.
a 700 cubic inch motor into it and try and do it one run.
Yep. Yep. And plus, I mean, the wheelbase, his longer wheelbase, the tubing that he used, I mean, it was awesome. It was just a great looking rail, like a 2x4 tubing and everything. He got rid of I remember we had almost 13-inch long shackles. He got rid of all that, and then he went to our shackles were in the back. He went to that new system where the shackles were in the front, and it was solid mounted, the suspension that way. I mean, less movement on the dry shaft. It was up and down, not rocking forward and pulling the slip yoke out and drop the transfer case. He had no driveline angle at all.
Right. And spring technology was changing a bunch then, too.
Yes. Yes. That's why we stayed, well, of course, with Nick's, Triangle Springs in Pensacola, New Jersey, is a leaf spring shop. So we couldn't go to coilovers right away. We own a leaf spring shop. They were going to try to make it, work, figured out how to make it work.
Yep.
Best advertisement in the world. You see on TV,
right.
Triangle Springs right on the side. So, yep.
When you guys built the second Outlaw, what trucks did you guys look at to help build the new truck? Was there any trucks that you were like, we're gonna, a lot of guys, when they built their second monster truck from the show truck that they had, they really compared the Bigfoot number 7, like Samson 2, Overtime. A lot of guys compared their trucks, wanted to build just like Jim Kramer's Bigfoot. What was your idea when you produced yours? And also, Dave, when you built your Nightlife 3, what other ideas did you see to make your truck go? We can start with you, Mike.
Well, ours, Nick started on it when I was still racing, built in his garage at his house. But we started liking the tube chassis, not the tube chassis, the 2x4 tube, okay, not the round tubing. That was built, and Bigfoot, they had the chassis set up there and the jig set up there. But you got to remember, Dan Patrick was working there. Dan Patrick was building the chassis like he is building today still. Started out in Bigfoot shop on a small metal table that Dan put together. He did the jig, built everything himself. We couldn't do. We're like, how in the world this guy bending all this stuff? And oh my God, it's neat looking, but that's got to cost an arm and a leg. But he did it, and but we did our tube chassis. We did it that way. We went to the different leaf springs. We lowered the transfer case. Made our driveline angle straighter after watching Dennis all the time, breaking a slip yoke, pulling it out of the drive line, always having trouble. We wanted to get away from that. Then we went to the C6 transmission. He had a friend of his rebuilding them. We had a hardened input shafts put into them. We went away from that darn power steering pump where we welded the brackets on the frame of the truck, and every time the motor moved, because back then we left the stock rubber motor mounts in it. Now we went to a solid frame, solid motor mount with plates to the motor. Everything was mounted to the motor, so if it did flex, everything went with it. We went to a pop-off valve on the orbital valve. We just improved so much for the driver and for the truck. I was so impressed with it, and once we went to the blower motor, now we're ready to compete. Yep, we're ready to compete now. If you messed up or let off of it in between cars, I won't let off of it. Never did. Never did once I got the new motor.
That was obvious.
How about you, Dave?
I would say, number 3, I learned a lot from watching other trucks. I mean, you use like Gary Porter's truck, the longer wheelbase, so incorporated a longer wheelbase, went with the longer stretch front fiberglass front end. The longer wheelbase made a lot of difference on how the truck handled, and suspension. Those, longer wheelbase, suspension, and motor. You found that you didn't need the super high horsepower motor, but you had to have something that had more power or torque, I guess, for taking off. So, you learn, just from everybody, not one person in particular, but from everybody what was working, and then plus what you learned, on your own stuff. But I would say that was the biggest difference, was wheelbase and suspension was probably the biggest thing, and lightening the truck up just to, right down there around that 10,000 was a pretty big deal.
One thing I'm kind of curious about here, and I'm going to ask this to Mike. I can remember, I want to say it's 1990. David Morris left Equalizer for a little bit, and you drove Equalizer at a show. I can't remember what show it was, but I remember Morris left and you drove. I'm trying to think, what did you take from driving Equalizer and bring over to Outlaw just to try out, see if it work on your truck?
Oh, I fell in love with Equalizer. And I only had, you got to remember, Dave is what, 5'6", 5'7", and probably I'm 6'3", 6'3", 260 pounds, and to get into his truck, you used to have to crawl through the windshield. And when his truck first came out, the steering wheel didn't come off. So I had to crawl over the steering wheel, my knees up to my chest in the steering wheel. But he only had 2-wheel drive. Our truck was broke. So to keep him into the points, he asked me, hey, we worked on it all night long, putting that truck back together and welding it. And I ended up driving it. And, God, I think I went 2 or 3 rounds with it. It was just so quick, so fast. That's when I fell in love with the center seat. And that's when I fell in love with the sway bar setups. There was the slinky list was gone. Instead of leaning all the way over and rubbing your tires and everything, it was just so nice to drive, so comfortable. But we couldn't go to the Coil Springs, like I said, because of the suspension company that my boss owned. But the truck was so light. So even with that small motor, it would just take off like a rocket. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I ended up driving it 2 more times, and then I even ended up driving it outside at the Figure 8 with the Figure 8 in Louisville for him also one weekend.
Really? I don't remember that.
Oh, yes. Yes. God, that would have been, let's see, Dave. I'm trying to think if that would have been in the end of 89 or 90. Yeah, that might have been the end of 89 or 90. Yep, something like that to help him out. Greg Holbrook. Something happened and they were leaving and got a phone call or something, and Gary had to take him back home and called me. And he said, hey, I need a driver. He said, Nick said you weren't driving this weekend, or, his truck wasn't coming out. He said, do you mind running my truck? I said, no, from, me in Cincinnati here, that might have been 91. Because he said, from me here in Cincinnati, I'm an hour and 45 minutes away. said, sure. I'll drive down there and, meet you. Be glad to. So, yep.
So off the topic here, do you guys still remember when was the first shows for your new trucks?
Like,
No.
I guess for Nightlife 3 would have been Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, I love
1990,
Albuquerque.
right?
That's the only one. That's the only one I can remember for the first truck, or for the first show with the new truck.
No, I do not. But God, there's plenty of fans out there. They remember more dates than I do. I swear that Christopher Allen, he is awesome. I mean, he can tell me more about me than I know myself. And I mean, even Chris Parrish, I'm sorry. And Cheech.
Yeah.
Oh no, what?
Cheech, you're my go-to buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's on.
You've been my go-to buddy.
A lot of kids back then grew up to be monster truck historians.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, thank God, hopefully somebody hears this, because yes, I always love for somebody to tell me, hey, Mike, this is when you did this, or we're like, oh, great.
Right.
I wish somebody would call in during the podcast or after it and tell you, Chief, so you'd be able to tell me.
The reason why I'm asking is this episode's a giveaway episode, since Jason's here. So we're going to try to figure out what date. So we're going to probably do another question for you, Mike. So that's another question for you podcast fans, is when was the debut of the Nightlife truck number 3 with Dave Wiczorek? The venue, the city, and the state. So that's one of the questions. I'll tell you after the end of the episode. But, I think, how about this? The company that Nick Rossi owned, that helped with the suspension of the Outlaw. Mike has mentioned the name about that. You have to listen to the episode. It's Triangle Springs, correct, Mike?
Yes, sir. Triangle Springs, Pennsauken, New Jersey. Family ran business for over 2 generations.
Are they still running right now?
Nope. It is. His father passed away, mother passed away, and nope. Triangle Springs is not in their name right now, in the family's name. Yep, they do truck repair. Now Nick still owns all that part. They do truck repair and everything like that, and some spring work, but it's truck repair and everything. Yep, they fix everything now. Motors, trannies, you name it, they do it.
Now,
that's where the money is. Keeping dump trucks going.
During the TNT series, Mike and Dave, was there a typical track that you guys look forward to? Was it the indoor, short, over-the-hill car stack? Was it the long front straightaways at the super speedways? Or was it maybe the Houston Astrodome, where it was one of the few times you guys raced when actually involving turning the truck, or the figure 8? Was there a particular track that you guys really circled, saying this is a section of the points that I know for a fact, a section of the schedule that I know for a fact I'd be able to catch up some points against, the Carolina Crusher, the Equalizer, or even Bigfoot?
I would say Houston for me. I like that track.
I think you're the grand champion, weren't you?
Yeah, you won that at one point. Was it 89?
Yep, 89 I did. Yep,
you did that. Yep, now see, I love the long tracks, outdoors. I love the Wisconsin. I loved, oh my God, all my long tracks. And I did really like the figure 8 in Louisville. I mean, it doesn't matter what you had there. I mean, look, everybody was taking Kid Rarick and like, Thunder Chicken ain't going to do nothing here.
Yeah.
He's just too wide and he's underpowered and he can't go nowhere. It didn't matter there as long as you stayed on it. I don't matter how bad your truck wobbled. As long as you stayed on it at a steady speed, you made up time. A lot of time. So I got to say, I like the figure 8 and the long tracks where I could stay into the throttle and a lot lot of speed outdoors.
You know, I think that's pretty cool, like you talked about. And I bet you guys are always thrilled to watch when USA 1 did that race in Milwaukee. You know, that was probably, you guys are probably betting on if he was wrecking or not wrecking at that track.
Yeah, we did that a lot. That was every weekend.
Oh, betting and bet.
Yeah. On Rod.
Well, I tell you what though, he tore up Auto.
Scott Stevens.
True Value Auto. I mean,
Scott Stevens.
Scott Stevens. He had a violent rollover. I mean, it was almost a barrel roll. Left front tire, right rear, left front, right rear, and it finally ended up tabletopped on the back two tires before it landed on its side. Yeah, he had a pretty bad roll.
Was that Kalamazoo?
Real. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, that was pretty bad.
Yep, you got it.
That was kind of a turning point in the technology, too. Back then, a truck takes that bad of a wreck, you ain't going to see it coming back. He came back after that. And even as a kid watching that, I'm like, wow, that had to be a Herculean effort to get that truck to come back out for the next race.
Oh, yeah, he was the first one to come out with us, Dave, with the radios, where he could talk to his crew guy. And, everybody out running out there, and his crew guy goes, nope, he said he's fine. Said he's fine. Said he's good. He's fine. We fixed the tire. Couple little things. The radiator tore some broken body panels off of it. He was ready to go. Yep. It was amazing. Yep. It was amazing the abuse it took, and was ready to go.
Dan, is this the point where we call Lonnie Childress for a Scott Stevens impression?
Oh my God, Lonnie Childress. You know that guy? You remember Lonnie Childress?
I've known Lonnie for a long time.
He makes the best perfect on the spot reenactment of Scott Stevens. When we're racing the RC trucks and his brother has the King Crunch, he goes over and he loses. He makes the exact same excuses as Scott Stevens. No offense, Colt, but on ESPN, it seemed like Scott always make an excuse over some type of situation he didn't like. He had covered his mouth. He's like, well, the truck did pretty well, but then again, we should have done better. Or something like that, you know.
He does it.
Does it perfect.
Then we got to get with him at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We'll get with him at the Hall of Fame and Tracy and video it.
Right.
I tried to video it. I just couldn't time it quick enough.
Oh, it's perfect. You know who I wish would be there also with you guys at the Hall of Fame? Mike Speller. That'd be awesome. Hearing all you guys talk. Tracy, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Papa Speller, yep.
Yeah. You know, I saw him a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
He was at the Paxton shop, and it was cool to say hi to him. So it was pretty cool to see.
Oh, Mama and Papa Speller, you better believe it. He's raised all of us. Yeah, he has raised all of us.
It was pretty cool. I did the Evansville, the Evansville show, that 4-H club there, Dave, for Greg Foosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Well, I went to Owensboro, and I didn't know that TNT's basically main hub wasn't Louisville, it was Owensboro. It seemed like everyone was from there.
Yep.
Yes.
Billy Joe Miles, yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, the announcers and everything. A lot of announcers still come from there for some reason.
Yes. Because it was a tractor
Joe
pulling.
Lowe, he was from, yep.
Bless his heart, Joe. Man, rest in peace. He was awesome. He was a great announcer. He would get you pumped up.
I heard him and Scott Stevens. I'm not Scott Stevens. Scott Douglas had radio shows there in Owensboro.
Yep. They had their radio station there, and yep, they sure did. It was amazing what talent came out of Owensboro. I mean, not in a bad way, but I mean the talent that did come out of there for announcers was pretty amazing. Actually, Army Armstrong, he was from Owensboro.
Yep, but because of the pulling, everything there was pulling pulling trucks.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you wanted to make it somewhere or get started, stay with the pulling trucks, because we knew the pulling trucks were going to be around forever, because there's always going to be farmers. There's always going to be fairs. There's always, so, I mean, that's why the TNT days with us, the monster trucks and the pulling trucks, oh my God, that was fantastic. I mean, that's the ultimate entertainment going out. Everybody, it's for the men, it's for the women, it's for the kids, it's for everybody.
For sure.
Did you guys ever experience any shade from some of the pullers that might have thought you guys were coming in to take over their show?
Oh, I think we did occasionally. You know, some of them would be like, some dang monster trucks. We're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. You know, I think through after the first few years, actually, you know, most of us got to know the pullers really well, and we had, you know, you found out that you actually had a lot in common. You know, between motors and what they were doing, and torque and power. You know, shoot, I don't know about Mike, but I think you know, if you were at a show with the pullers, I mean, if you had a problem, you know, chances are you had several pullers over there trying to give you a hand.
You better believe it.
They were good people too. A lot of fun. But I think just that initial, you know, that intro, I guess, kind of like, you know, when Foot introduced their first quarter elliptic truck, or shock truck, cantilever truck. You know, it's like, oh man, I don't know about this, you know. But then once it kind of, you know, gets introduced, and it's like, well, yeah, that's all right.
Yep. Believe me, everything that new came out, everybody couldn't wait to see it and pick it apart.
Yeah, you're right.
What did you guys think of when you first saw that Bigfoot 8 truck? What did you guys think about that whole thing?
I loved it.
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought the technology was really cool. You know, I went to see it go. Not saying I wanted to race against it, but I wanted to see it go.
Yeah.
To add to that, what'd you think of Taurus 3 along with Bigfoot 8?
You know, I mean, that's a good one. I mean, Jack, he had a good truck too. I mean, you know, he had them. I think he had the time what he had on the Fox shocks, I think, or something. Yeah, I mean, man, that was a good handling truck too.
Yes,
that was awesome. I think didn't that truck weigh like it was under 8,000 pounds? I think.
Oh yes, they had to add weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It was big time light. But you know, like you take 2,000 pounds off our trucks, you know, it make a little difference too on how fast they went. And I don't know if they would handle it better, but
it's sometimes crazy for me to sit back and think that those two style chassis designs are still in some way, shape, or form used today in monster trucks. I mean, look at this chassis. Tom's personal chassis and Neil's personal chassis.
Yep.
As well as Bigfoot still running like Bigfoot 15 out there on the track as well. I mean, it's still kind of the same sort of design in both of those trucks that have evolved into what it is now.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, a lot of the last years, that the shock technology hasn't changed a lot. You know, it's once the shocks were introduced, I mean, there's valving and stuff that's been improved and worked on, but and I think it could still go a long ways, you know, yet on what they're doing with shocks. But once it started, it was just the realm of the standard to have.
Do you think that the tracks of those days and the TNT days, that it would be as entertaining now with the way the trucks are now?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I can say that. I can say that with all honesty, and here's why I can say that, and I'm very proud of it. Last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I was in Fishersville, Virginia, with Brandon Jaro with Bad News Travels Fest. Okay? Mm-hmm. I was there with Jack Willman. He was running the show, and I was there also with Dan Patrick, and I was there with Jimmy Kohler and his son Chris. But that's the first I've been back to that track in 30 years.
Wow.
Last time I was there, Brandon and his father were sitting up on top of the hill, and they were sitting up there, and that's where Kid Rare, he won. He took everything. But that's the first time in 2 weeks, last 2 weeks, I was in Fishersville again, and it was the same thing on the bottom of the hill, bottom of the track, same thing over a set of cars, a little bit, dirt space, catch-up speed, the same cars on the end, and then go off, out into the grass field to turn around. We pitted in the same spots we did 30 years ago in that field. It brought back a lot of memories for me. Yes, they're still using that style tracks.
Same thing you go
Then I
to
drove
Lima
home.
there, Mike, when you went to Lima?
Huh?
When you went to Lima, too.
Yep. Same thing, Lima. Then I drove home 8 hours, got home, ate dinner, and ended up going 1 mile from my house to another monster truck show at my fairgrounds and helping put a motor in. An FTI truck, torque truck, helped them put a motor in, got it in right before the show, and then I met a new guy and ended up being his crew guy with Aftershock, helping him out with his new truck. And same thing, start off 2 cars, nice long run in front of the grandstands, and then 4 cars on the end. I was so happy to still see that and still see cars at a car crush, not just dirt piles. Yeah. No pun intended.
Yeah, of course.
But I even got to hang out with God, what is his name? Is it Steve King that's running Fluffy now?
Kevin.
I think it is.
Kevin. Yeah. And me and Kevin together were a lot alike. We had a ball. So, yep, it was great. It was a good time. It was a good time. The whole weekend was perfect. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was great. I missed it.
And I guess...
we definitely...
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, we definitely got to get Dave to the Hall of Fame this year.
Yes.
Like Mike said, that's going to... that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess I missed out. I guess last year, John Moore and quite a few of the other drivers were there.
I wish you were there.
I'm hoping that those guys will be there again this year. That'll be good. You just don't know who's going to be there, but I guess you just got to show up and be there. So, yep, I'm planning on it. So, you guys be ready.
I mean, it's always cool to
good.
It's always cool to see that, and hopefully you do, Dave. A lot of people, I guess, I don't know if I should tell them this, but I mean, you're still in the monster truck world, just in a different spectrum.
Yep. I'm more of a spectator, I guess, per se. Not I don't know. I still put my input in. And for sure, if I see if it's something to do with safety, because it affects all of us in the industry.
Yes.
But no, it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy watching. I enjoy watching what the guys are doing today with their trucks. It's just amazing. It really is. You see a lot of wonderful talent out there. What they can do with their trucks, and that's just not a person that can hop in really anything, but they've adapted to that truck, and they know how to drive it, which is you can see it in a lot of drivers, and that's pretty impressive. A lot of people can't do that or aren't able to adapt into their fill their truck and what it needs or what it can do. So that's pretty neat from my standpoint.
Someone would have told you guys that 20 plus years from now that you would see monster trucks going over a hill and just balancing a 10,000-pound vehicle on their front 2 wheels, and then or leaping over a 727 jumbo jet, or having a monster truck going on the front straightaway going 99.1 miles an hour. I think you guys would have been laughing at me if I told you back then.
Oh yeah, we were just happy to survive going over. Yeah, we were happy to survive going over a concrete barrier, or taking down a Union 76 sign, or riding over top of two state trooper cars and surviving.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm glad
that
you
just shows
brought
you how
that up.
technology progresses everything.
I'm glad you brought that wreck up, Mike. What was your initial reaction when you started to see that truck going?
Well, you got to remember, right before that, I just went over the wall and sliced my tire. Same lane, same everything. So right after that, the first thing I'm thinking, don't hit the sign, don't hit the sign, don't hit the sign, because we were threatened not to hit the sign. It's brand new. So we all got a talking to again. No matter what, don't hit that sign, don't hit that sign. Yep. You know, and old Steve with his laugh. He'd laugh or giggle. Went right out there. Tie bar broke. Swoom! Swerved for it and went over the wall, throttled it, which that was normal. Steer it, keep it straight. And then hit the sign. Threw the sign off. When the tie rod broke, both tires went the wrong way or the different directions, spun him around and flipped him right upside down, because back then it was all asphalt. I mean, it was 90 during the day and so hot. So they hooked up quick when he flipped upside down on him. There was nothing he could do. I mean, that little fart, he got unseat belted and crawled out the back window before anybody knew what was going on. Anybody. Yep. We were running down there to him, and he come walking up around everybody, behind the campers and all, and just shaking. Remember that, Dave?
Yep.
And I remember them wanting to come over and do an interview with him real quick.
Yeah,
and he was just
Armstrong
shaking.
said he thought he was in shock.
Yeah. We all did. Yep, we all did. But he said as soon as it was flipping over, as soon as it landed, he said he was taking his belt off and crawling out. But
I just remember the cameras like zooming down on him. It almost looked like he was Tom Cruise walking away from an explosion.
Oh, it was awesome. He come out of that smoke. It was awesome. It was awesome. Yep.
Now, Mike, there was it was a speedway track. I don't know if it was West Leb, Fleming, or it wasn't Stafford Springs. It was or I think it was either West Leb or Fleming. That your truck was on the rail, and there was one scene where I think you cleared the whole last set of cars, and then your second bounce was higher than your first one, and you almost rolled it. If you remember that, what were you going on with your head when you were doing that run? I think it was against Rambo, I believe, or Thunder Chicken.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. I remember that one because I never let off of it. That's where the blower motor. Never let off of it. Cleared the cars. We were having trouble with the back end on that truck being so light and giving us rebound and so much kick back that every time I landed, it would just spring right back up like we had coilovers on. But it was sprung up and it would always kick over to the right. So you had to stay into the throttle and just stay on it until it came back down. Because I didn't run rear steering. I put a lock bar in mine on a straight track, because there was a lot of time our self-centering wasn't working. I was having trouble with it. Take the cylinder, took it off, wire tie it next to the other one so my hydraulic line stayed on. And I had a solid lock bar I'd put in with 2 bolts. Dave, I'm sure you probably did that too. If you had any problems with your steering.
Yeah, we had a lock bar to go in there. I didn't use it a lot, but sometimes we would. Yep.
Fast track outdoors, I did. Always fast track outdoors. Yep. Especially in Richmond. Oh my God. Look how tight that was between the walls.
Oh yeah.
But that was the New York tour. Yep. That was the New York tour that happened.
Because it seemed like after the second bounce happened, your truck went right, and then out of nowhere, you're on 2 wheels.
Oh, yeah. It bounced up on the right-hand side.
Yep. You drove straight out.
That was normal. You had to get used to it. You just, I didn't panic or nothing because to me that was just normal. It's what it did anymore.
So now today's popularity of the NHRA 4 wide nationals, where they had the 4 cars racing against each other. Back that was already kind of doing stuff when you had Dallas when you had the 3 wide. When Billy and them from TNT told you guys about that track, what did you guys think? And when you guys got there, what were you guys thinking of the 3 wide at Dallas? And how did you guys thought of Bennett's little rollover?
Well, I thought it was pretty
Dave.
cool. You didn't have a lot of time to focus on somebody next to you. I mean, because you had, there's another guy over from that guy, so it actually made you concentrate more on the racing than it did on anything. But I thought it was really neat.
The building we got into. I mean, I was, like a kid in a candy store. You walk in, it's like, wow, look at this. This is part of history. I mean, this is so neat. And, I'm just proud and glad to be here. And we're doing something new. Is this going to be something that's going to go on all the time? And I mean, even look at Lupe. I mean, God, he had some good runs. I mean, there was a lot of guys that came out. Well, yeah, especially Master of Disaster. He run that truck hard. Yep. Hard. Yep. When he comes to the line, you better worry about yourself and either get away from him or stay behind him, because he didn't care if he was shooting, turning right or left. He was on the throttle and never let off. He would flat out run you over to win. So, no, it's part of history. And Cheech, out of anybody here, you'll know what I mean by history. I mean, I was with you in Texas. I had King Crunch, and you were working on Lucas. And I remember you walking around, and I don't know how you got in there, but you got in there and stuff like that. And you knew once you walked in, that feeling, you're in a part of history, in that building. So I know you know what I felt.
Yeah, right. I always tell people it's like the biggest, I think the most butterflies I ever get is walking into those big stadiums when there's not even a single person in a seat, and it's echoing and it's quiet.
Yes.
And and you're just walking and you're looking at the stadium. Just think of yourself, a football team or a baseball team sells this place out, and in just in a couple hours, these same people are gonna fill up the stadium and it's gonna watch the truck I work on or the truck you're working on run. Maybe for me, with Lucas, there, it's kind of nervous, because I have a sponsored truck from Monster Jam. And if that fails, that's embarrassing. You know what I mean? And I don't want that to be embarrassed.
Would pick on you.
Yeah, you would pick on me all day long. You would make fun of me, or maybe burn my eyebrows.
I might have accidentally did that to one crew guy. God, what was Matt? What was Matt's last name? I did that
Cummings. Matt Cummings.
Yeah. Dave, he kept messing around with me, kept calling me the old guy, and them guys kept telling him. Them guys kept telling him, and they warned him, didn't they, Cheech? How many times? Even Cole Bernard said, "You better stop. You're not going to win. You better stop."
But wasn't it to seal the deals when that jack dropped on Max D?
That's when it got Shane Preed's fingers into Cold Springs.
Yeah. It was
working on Tom Menson's truck.
Right, we were in Detroit in that pack rat. Because I remember.
Oh yeah.
I remember me and Josh Dyke, the crew chief of Max D, were doing snow donuts in the parking lot. Oopsies. And we hear a and I was like, "What was going on?" And Shane's like, "My finger." And we're like, "Oh, you're hurt?" And he's like, "It hurts, but it's not gone." And then Mike just went, "Oh, who did it?" And then there was a little controversy between Mike and Matt, and before you know it, someone lost eyebrows, and the other guy's laughing.
I bet you can't figure out who was who, Dave.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, well, God, I spent most of that season rebuilding my shocks during pit parties and welding on Tom's truck. I don't know how many times I welded on Tom's truck.
What was it? Was it Tampa that me, you, and Woos and another gentleman stayed until 4 o'clock in the morning just working on your shocks because the shocks are so bad on King Crunch that we had to redo them 3 times because someone was on the phone. I don't know who was it that was giving you misinformation on the shim package or something like that.
Well, I called.
Yeah.
I called the
Package
guy
guy.
that built the shocks. Yeah, called the guys that built the shocks, and he's telling me to do this, and I'm like, it can't be right. They even took the shocks apart. They had no holes drilled into the pucks for feedback for compression.
Yeah.
Then it had two of every washer on top and bottom. And I said, no, it's too stiff. No way. 46 weight oil. Nope. And he kept saying, yeah, you got to run that. You got to run that. So I called Josh Garcia. There's no better man on shocks than Josh. Contacted him.
What? Good.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, while you're on the shock subject, it really surprises me out there how many guys don't know their shocks.
No.
How to set them.
No.
That just really surprises me.
Yes. And that's going to get you hurt.
Your savior right there, and you don't know anything
Yes.
about it.
Yeah. Yep. Better believe it.
Yeah, we were there until
Went
4
through
o'clock.
them, valved them.
Yeah.
Yep.
We went there until
Yes,
4
sir.
o'clock in the morning. It went to a point where I grabbed 2 shocks, and me and a gentleman named Scott Smith, we started tearing those shocks down for him. Mike and Woos were working on the other shocks. We had everyone just trying to work in, and we had a set of guys also there just to put the shocks on. We handed them the shocks, they put the shocks on, and we just hoped for the best. But, Mike was facing gremlins with that truck all season long.
Basically, with the shocks.
You know that Dylan Finley guy who bought the truck from David Smith?
Yes.
Yep.
He's still having shock issues. Talked to him at Lake Charles, Louisiana this year, and he said this truck lands crappy. These shocks suck.
Yep.
Terrible.
They were the first
there's
time.
a lot of people that just don't take the time to understand them. I mean, it's.
Well, I kept
it's not
trying to
like
get him to
super
send me new
rocket scientist
pistons, Dave.
stuff.
I tried my best to get him to send me new pistons, to revalve it, put new pistons in, with the bypass holes drilled in it and everything. And the guy kept saying, nope, you don't need these in my shop. So I'm like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
What was it?
He
It
knew
was
more than
like-
I did.
Was it like triple? It was triple the size. It was a triple or a triple buy, or it was a different shock though. It was like the first of its kind.
Yeah. With the 3-inch accumulators.
That's it. Yeah, 3-inch accumulators on.
Yep. First one out with the 3-inch accumulators. Yep. With no bypass holes drilled in the pucks. I don't understand that.
Oh, man.
And then Dave, he was setting the puck height when full compression, it was at 8 1/4. I said, you can't do that on a 17-inch can. Then I'd bring the shock shaft all the way up in there. The puck was in a 1/2 inch of bottoming out on the cap.
No.
I said, you can't do that. And he's like, yeah, that's the way they're designed, machine to do. I said, okay, ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work.
And then he sends you that square body at the Feld shop, and you basically cut more of that body than you actually put on.
Yeah, well, it was for a single cab, and his truck was set up. Remember, for the Ford, the same bodies that Foot's running now. The off-road truck body.
Yeah, off-road, yeah.
So it's like, okay, how do you take a square body, 1985 body, extend it out over the cab, the front end, 9 inches, and the back bed from the roll bar, 13 inches. Oh my God! And I only had 2 nights to do it. Yep. 2 nights.
I think there was a gap somewhere.
We lived. Well, I bobbed the bed. It was bobbed.
That was another night where we stayed up until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning because we were coming from Lando.
All night until.
It was Orlando, and then we had to get the trucks ready to go for Indianapolis. I remember that. That
Yes.
sucked.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So do I. I had a lot of hours in on that truck.
I remember that.
Well, and then we got it ready for Indy. Dave, it looked so good at Indy. The square body did look good. I do like the Chevrolet square bodies. Went out there and we're backed up for the racing, and what's the first thing Mike Vaughters did? pulled up, went back in the spot, that old blind fart. I didn't want to say bastard, old fart. Backed right into the front grill, broke the hood and the grill. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Got to be kidding.
That was a crazy season. Because that Indianapolis show, after we blew the motor in Soldier Fortune, the Lucas Oil blew a motor, and guess what? Tom Mentz drives through it. Crashes into the truck. Misses the A-frame and misses the main roll bar. The truck went through it and bounced back. We didn't have any damage, but we had to replace the housing, replace a motor, to weld a flange, get that thing to Houston. We did already at Houston. David rolls the body. We don't see Mike for almost a week until like the last day when him and Rick Swanson comes over and grabs Gary Schott's last GMC body to put on that truck, which that body's still going on today. I saw that at Lake Charles. That Sierra, the 99 Sierra body. That body's still there. And Anaheim comes around.
They still had the Terminator stickers on it.
Right. And then Anaheim came around. That was an okay show. That was a fun experience, Anaheim. That three show weekend from Orlando, Indianapolis, the 4-show weekend from Orlando to Anaheim was probably pretty much the most insane 4 weeks that I ever had, because it was so nonstop it wasn't even funny.
Well, my biggest thing is I had to work on and weld on the cage of Adam Anderson's digger truck first, where Brian, with hooked, landed on top of his cage. Don't you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, both popped.
Mid-air collision.
One truck landed on the other.
I still got pictures. It blew out all of the shocks on hook, and it bent the roll cage in by his head. The support bar going back to X bracing. So I had to get that gravedigger done first before I started on Dave Smith's. So, yeah.
And I think
it kept me busy.
Didn't Digger blew a planetary too?
Yep.
I think Gravedigger blew a planetary.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Yep, that was easy. Because Tony Farrell's son, Ethan, was there, and Ethan ran back there to help him, and Ethan knows trucks from Tony Farrell. And Ethan told him, back up. That's when Parker was out there crewing too. And Bobby got in it, put it in reverse, and gunned it and backed up. You heard everything broke loose. Then they took it apart easy. Yep.
Oh,
you're not getting one apart that's locked up.
Yeah.
Yep. So Ethan got to help him on that.
Seems like a lot of drivers don't do that. When the planetary explodes, they like to move forward. Instead, they should just go reverse, right? And then they can break it loose.
Yes. Go in reverse and break it loose. And I remember Indianapolis big time, and I remember it big time, and I don't care what anybody says, I cried. I walked into the stadium. Nobody was talking to me. I was walking over to my truck. Jim Orsini came over and gave me a hug. I couldn't figure out what in the world's going on. And Tom Mentz come over to me and said, Mike, come in, man. We need to go in the room and talk. I knew it. Right there in my heart. I knew in my heart Mike Wells died. I knew it. So, that tore me up, Dave.
That
tore me up big time.
That was a very tough, because I remember going to shows, and I'm just talking to whoever. Like, I was a new guy. I was still kind of new. I had 1 year on my belt, but I was still, when I was new, when Mike Wells was around, I always had a hand on my right shoulder. A big hand on my right shoulder. I turn around, and it was Mike. And he always had a wise crack joke. You know what I mean? He always had a joke about something. He always lightened the mood up, and that was I think it hit everyone at Indy. I think it hit everyone that had a monster truck show or a monster jam show around the country. But it just seemed like it hit, to me personally, hit Indy most, because I think most of the people that was close to him were at that stadium. that were good friends with him. Mike, do you ever get a chance to talk to Bob Fisher? I mean, how's he doing? I mean,
No, I've not talked to Bob, and I bet you almost 5 years. See, and that's where Mike started out. 1986 in UFO is where Mike started out, at Englishtown, New Jersey.
Yep.
The UFO truck,
Good guy,
Bob
Mike.
Fisher's truck and our truck were brother and sisters. They were the same trucks, identical trucks.
man.
So.
Well, him and Nick spent a lot of time together, I think, didn't they? I mean, they were buddies back then.
Oh, inseparable. Oh, yes.
The Liquidator truck, I think, was
Yes.
one of them.
Yep.
Liquidator.
Yeah, because
Yep, Liquidator,
Yep.
UFO, yep.
because Bob owned a liquidation company, where he sold furniture and bought out companies and all like that. That's where, the Liquidator truck come from. Yep. And then, they were all three friends for years. And then, I was with Mike Wells when he met Peggy. We met Peggy when Peggy was 16 years old. That's how long I've known Peggy Wells. So.
Yeah, and she adapted to the industry really well too. Peggy has.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, like you said, that show kind of, that was the fastest I ever saw a company made a decal though. You remember that? How fast they changed the decal on Max D?
Oh yeah.
You went, and,
Yep.
That was there for the whole season. The rest of the season, it was there. It didn't even say Tom Mentz. It said Mike Wales. I remember that clear as day. And
Yep.
I remember some of the drivers just didn't want to drive. They just because of what happened. I remember Jim Rossini was telling me that they couldn't tell some of the drivers because it would just affect their driving ability. You know what I mean? They couldn't been affected about it, so they told them after the show.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, I knew something was wrong when nobody would talk to me because I cut up kid around with everybody. And then that's when Tom said, "Come in the room." And as soon as Tom was standing there being serious with me, said, "Hey, bud, come in the room. We got to talk." I knew it. Because I just talked to Peggy the night before I caught my flight. Talked to Peggy and went over the house and stood outside. And I didn't go in the house and talk to her. And but so I knew it. I just knew it in my heart. I knew it. Yep. But he's in a better place. No more suffering.
Yep.
Everything's great. So.
Yep. So if they're building street rods somewhere.
Oh, you better believe he is. You better believe it.
Yep.
Well, Cheech, I don't mean to cut anybody off short, but it's almost 10 o'clock, and I get up 3 o'clock in the morning for work.
I understand that. We've been talking nonstop, and it maybe is.
It's been an excellent conversation.
It was. It's been a great time, and this time I have it recorded, and Dave, we'll probably do episode. I would like to do episode with just you, talk about the history of the nightlife and what you have done now. I don't know if you still have the secrets of
nothing.
Your toys, let's say, that happens during after intermission.
That's why it's a secret.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching them.
Yep.
I still want to play. I still want to play with your pyros you got on the trailer. I mean, I could use them at a hotel somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
You know what? I'd
be afraid to see how high that pop machine would go.
Yeah. Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
How about we do one episode where we can get maybe 2 more guys and let you guys just talk. Stories of TNT, rental cars, hotels. It doesn't matter. If you guys want to talk about it, go ahead and talk about it. We'll just be quiet and listen to the whole conversation. But we have to do one where you guys just
we'll be like, "Hey, we're here. By the way, you guys can talk."
Yeah.
I have to ask one thing before Mike leaves, and I told Dan this a while back, but I have to ask one thing. 1989, Freedom Hall, Kentucky. One of my favorite monster truck races of all time. What was going through your mind when Dennis was launching sideways up in the air, straight up and down next to you?
I mean, you got to remember that was all a joke. Now, you have to remember, Army Armstrong was a character. Oh, he was an instigator. Army wasn't everybody. He's like, oh my God, Army never talks to nobody. He's so quiet. Oh, BS. He was an instigator. Yeah. He's like, hey, when Dennis is out there talking, just come out. He said, push that Ford and Chevy. Push Ford and Chevy. And then Gary Wiggins, too. Same way, he was an instigator. So was Porter. Oh my God, Porter was an instigator. He'd never liked stuff done to him, but he liked it done to everybody else.
Right, yeah.
So that's when it come across. You know, they were going to get me a hot dog and a pop to go out there and pick on Dennis. Yeah, I'm good at this. So I walked out there and started doing an interview at Army, and that's when Dennis come over. And so I thought, oh, Dennis is in on this too. This is cool. So, you know, we started talking about Ford versus Chevrolet, and that's when my saying came out that it'd take 10 Chevrolets to ever touch one Ford, and instead of him running his mouth, let him run his truck. Well, I walked back. I said, there you go, Gary Wiggins. I said, I get my hot dog now, don't I? Porter goes, man, you really made him mad. I said, why? I said, he came out there. I said, Army must have told him to come out there too. He goes, Mike, he's really mad. But Dennis come back and grabbed me, put me in a headlock. He was so mad at me, and I'm like, is this part of it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I mean, back in them days, we were all big oxes. Nothing was going to hurt us. If the trucks didn't beat us up that bad, another man wasn't. So we went out there to run, and boy, he was still mad. And he just gunned it, gave it too much throttle, and me with a stock 460 tunnel ram motor with only one carburetor that worked, out a beating because he stood it straight up in the air. And that ended up being the most famous of old stuff, interviews and a race. I hear more of that than anything, any race that I've won or anything. I mean, what do you think, Dave?
No, I think you're probably right. Yep. They got a lot of notoriety, that's for sure.
Well, ironically too, it was always Bigfoot and USA One were the two number one Chevy, number one Ford, kind of back in the day.
Right.
And it's ironic that the best interview comes from two guys that weren't sponsored by either company.
Right.
Yeah, we were on our own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I think if you dig through there, I think there's a lot of funny, good interviews
yes.
that you can watch. But yeah, that was a good one for sure.
I remember they did a Hall of Fame as an interview. And it was John Bree and Mad Dog. He goes to the cameraman and he says, "You see that shitty car over there? I'm gonna put that shitty engine in the shitty truck, and I'll be back tomorrow." He grabbed the motor from one of the crush cars.
Yeah.
He put it in Mad Dog.
Yeah.
But it was just funny how he said that.
That was John.
Oh, that was John. That was John.
That's the way it is. Yeah.
He would grin the whole time saying it.
Yeah, John.
Yeah. He's like, "I'll take that shitty motor and put that in that shitty truck." I was like, wow, that's funny to hear. But yeah, we have to do an episode where you guys just tell stories. That'd be just awesome.
Because I love to hear Jesse Berge. I love to hear Jesse talk. I mean, he was always pumped up. Big Jesse was always pumped up.
Well, did you guys
he rebuilt everybody's transmissions.
Oh, really? I know he was good at that stuff.
Oh, God. He built everybody's at the track. If you had a transmission problem, you went to Jesse. He'd grab it. He don't care. He'd throw it in the back of the trailer, back of a flatbed or tailgate of a pickup truck, and just rip it all apart and go through it and say, oh, here, I might have one of these clutches, or I might have the band. I might have one of these in my trailer somewhere, and come back out and put it together. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he could do it.
Do you guys need your own dictionary for Gary Wiggins?
Do what?
Did you guys need your own dictionary for Gary Wiggins?
He's a great guy.
Oh, he's still the same. Gary has not changed at all.
Gary. Oh, yeah. I tell you, he's
not changed
he's a great
at all.
guy. He's got his own language, but he's a great guy. And that's what made Gary Garrett. It was just the way he talked, you know.
Yep.
Sweet.
And Porter had a strong accent, real strong.
Yeah.
Gary Cook, too.
Oh.
Gary Cook, too.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Cook, too.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Cook
Yep.
had a strong
Yep.
accent.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
the
but it's
strong,
more high
very-
pitch.
Yeah.
You know who else had a strong accent? Scott Stevens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
actually, he
tell you.
still has that. I've seen him earlier this year. His voice still sounds the same. It's still the same voice coming out of Scott.
But
It's
I
like you can hear him
never
across the
laughed.
hall and it'd be the same Scott.
I never laughed so hard, ever. I mean, I stood behind him making faces. Scott Douglas would tell me to get away. Army would throw stuff at me every time Andy Brass talked. I mean, I would just stand behind him and lose it with that voice. I'd reach around like I was grabbing him by the gonads to see if that'd give him a deeper voice. And Scott Douglas was like, "Get away from him! Leave him alone!"
Ford
Oh
Bigfoot
God!
was doing
Yep.
pretty well. What was it you always say? The Ford Bigfoot.
Yep.
Ford Pirate Bigfoot was doing really good.
Yep.
Oh Lord! It wasn't none of us normal back then. Yep.
That's
Just me.
part of what I miss in monster trucks is there were so many characters back then.
Yep.
And now
Not
it's
now.
It was definitely not rehearsed. It was like, yep, laid out there.
It's almost like a lot of the young NASCAR drivers now. Everybody's a cookie cutter. Everybody knows to plug this sponsor, and this sponsor, and we got to get it in this interview. And if we don't, we're going to get in trouble.
Yep.
We were never preached or coached what to say. Believe me, nobody ever told me what to say. It just came out of my mouth.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks.
Yeah. I had no filter.
I say that's a good way to end it right there. It just came out of my mouth at the end.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Army Armstrong kind of pushed a little bit of your guys' conversation? He added some stuff to fire you guys up.
He would steer you a little bit.
Steer me, but yeah,
Not a lot.
I didn't need much. I didn't need much coaching. Yeah, I didn't need much coaching to get wound up.
Oh yeah, you did.
I had Wiggins and Porter and other people. I had Johnny K to get me, wound up.
Right. Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. There's a bunch of stories can lead off of them. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I definitely would say I would love to have you guys back on, and then we can tell a bunch of stories. I'll try to get Johnny K in, and maybe if you guys know someone else in the TNT days, if we can get one more guy in, and then we'll sit back and listen to you guys talk about it. That'd be pretty cool.
Yep, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most
Awesome.
definitely. Yeah. Have you ever thought about getting Marvin Smith?
Man, it's funny. Me and Josh.
That's a great
around
idea.
Me and Josh race around the neck of his woods, but I don't know if I guess I could find out. I don't know if he's still around Arnold, Missouri, but I mean that'd be cool to find out.
Oh,
Yeah,
let me
he
know
is
if you.
still down there.
Oh yeah, and I got his number. You let me know if you want me to, give you his information, or you want me to message him or call him for you.
Reach out to him.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Then
Yeah.
we
That
can
would be
definitely
awesome.
Then we can definitely get Johnny K on too. He just
Yep.
messaged me saying,
Yep.
"Let me know next time. I'm sorry I missed it." So it's all good for him, So
Message him back. Tell him Mike Wine covered your butt. Don't worry about it. Your ears should be burning.
Yeah. Mike Wine answered all your questions.
I love Johnny like a brother. Always have. We were all family back then. Yep.
Yep.
All right,
so-
guys. I appreciate you having me on again. I always enjoy it. Best time ever.
Yep.
I sure do. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for
Good
coming,
time. Yep.
guys.
Yep. Thanks.
But I'm gonna go ahead.
You guys
and
all have a
close
great
this.
evening.
Thanks a lot, guys.
too.
That was
Thank
a
you.
good conversation.
Yes, thank you very much. From
Yep.
me, Josh, and Jason, and also Brad, want to say thank you for Mike Wine and Dave Wiczorek for a cool throwback in time, and also a little chit chat on life in general in the monster truck world. This is also want to thank J Concepts, Jason and Fred, also Joey Sylvester and High Octane Coffee. Thank you for everything they have done too. Remember the question. This is a giveaway, and it's going to be a giveaway for, since we have two guests, we're going to do a double whammy. So we're going to be doing one from J Concepts and one from High Octane Coffee. So the question is what's the main sponsorship or the main backing sponsorship? What was the spring company? Let's go. The spring company that was backing the Jersey Outlaw when Mike Wine was campaigning it, and what was the first show of the Nightlife 3 truck, the city, in the state? Where was the first show for the Nightlife truck? Number 3. So I'll post that when we debut this, and then we'll go from there. So that'll be a double giveaway from High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. So once again, from Josh, Jason, me, and Brad, keep the rubber side down, the shiny side up. Thank you. And